little video is much easier, but.
All right, you're on.
Okay, we'll start again. It's a little bit early, but we're going to start the meeting. It's August 26th. First order of business is pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is public input. Is there a public? Oh, here on official business. Okay, the next is review and approval of minutes. I'm trying to do this in the order that we did them.
Sure.
So the first is August 12th at 8:30 non-public.
I'm all set.
I'll move approval as corrected.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next is the public from August 12th at 8:30.
Looks good to me.
I don't have any changes. I'll move approval as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the non-public from August 12th at 8:41.
I'm all set.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And non-public from August 12th at 8:46.
All set.
You got that one, Bill?
Yep. I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the public work session from August 23rd, 8:30. Jack Whitmer and Jack Rollins and Heather Coolidge.
I'm all set.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And non-public from the 23rd at 9:02.
Just the same name correction as on the earlier ones, but I will move approval as corrected.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Hey, we're zipping along. We're gonna be out of here at 9:20.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Okay, the first appointment is with Philip Hunter, Swap Shop.
Hi, Phil.
Aye.
What's up?
Just touching base, we were planning to get together this fall with you to go over our progress and where we were at with what was going on, but in light of last week's, or 2 weeks ago, the meeting, and Clay brought up points of interest, I received a lot of phone calls and emails and felt it was important that I
You
come
get
in.
it from me, so who phone called you and emailed you?
Different people from the community, just, not selectmen and not
Right.
officials, just concerned people that had become aware of the minutes from
The
the
meeting.
prior meeting.
I don't think we got those, did we?
The minutes?
No, we just
Yeah,
did.
we just approved it.
No, the Swap Shop minutes.
Oh, no swap shop minutes. I'm referring to the selectmen's meeting,
Oh,
the
all right.
last selectmen's meeting where Clay.
Monday, it's early.
Yes, that's fine. So I just wanted to come in and touch base and go over where we're at and just give you an update on it. So overall, in Clay's comments from his meeting were that overall he felt it was very good, and he had some very minor infringements, if you want to call it that. One of the things that our supplies all disappeared at the I think it was the very
The
first.
umbrella got taken.
And the first aid kit and safety vests and things have a way. People want things and they see things and
10-finger discount.
and they go. Well, I don't think they necessarily know they're stealing them. I think they feel they're up for grabs because
I spoke to one individual and he said he was just checking things out. So I told him to put it back.
Oh, so you found some,
As far as I'm concerned, he was a snake.
oh, got it.
That's only one select.
No, I dealt
No,
with
that's
him,
fine.
I dealt with him directly and it corrected the situation.
Very good. On site?
He was leaving the site, and I spoke to him.
He was on his way to Hong Kong.
Well, I took the point of view, we have a dozen volunteers or more that are giving of their time, they don't need their stuff taken.
Right, no, right, thank you. I wasn't aware of that, and that's great, thank you. So anyway, that's good. We've got the vests replaced, I think we've got trash bags replaced.
Yeah.
We now have a cabinet that is labeled, that we can keep things in, and there's a couple of totes that are clearly labeled. We did discuss this weekend that we need to label the bulletin board as something. So it's, try to do something on that.
Just think of Phineas Graves in town. We need some dorm rooms.
Right, yeah. So, anyway, some people don't think about things, or they think about things differently. So anyway, it seems to be going good. We do still need a new first aid kit. We haven't got that, and that I think probably is to what Lloyd was saying. It was clearly marked, and it was up high, and it left rather abruptly. I think
We have a pretty good one up in the shop, and I can order one and get one from Syntaz the next time they come. A small one.
Perfect.
I'm not even sure if we need one.
Screw it to the wall.
I'm not even sure we need one if there's one
Yeah.
there, but
It's not an
it's the
easy
same
wall.
facility.
Oh,
It's a small one.
We would want to address the training that was brought up, and we're working with people. So far, we have 26 different volunteers.
all right, there's two more.
28.
Those are counted.
Oh, okay, 26
Okay.
volunteers, and we only have 9 shifts a week that we have to fill, and we have a lot of people that do the same shift every week or do multiple shifts. So the 26, I think 20 of the 26 are backup volunteers, so it will be a little learning curve to get everybody up to speed. And obviously there's some people that have a hard time saying no and when something comes in. So you just, as people become more experienced, I think they'll get more attuned to how to react to it. I will say from the public standpoint, I get a comment nearly every time I go in the grocery store or the post office or wherever I am. Oh, thank you so much for getting that open. We just love it. It's very clean and people love how organized it is. And
So your political future is guaranteed.
if it needed to be, yes. Or if it wasn't already.
It could be.
See, there you go. It's all kind of it, I guess. You apparently got a lot of rest this week because you're.
Okay.
Okay, well, the rest do it.
We still don't know. The volunteer notebook. There is a notebook on site that has the schedule and who's signed up to work. We don't have somebody going and checking and making sure that Debbie showed up at 8:30, but it's in the book that Debbie's supposed to be there at 8:30, so
Right.
we just rely on it. And we've had a couple instances where someone forgot or something came up and they had to leave. And we'll go back to that, your point was that you wanted to see a volunteer present when it's open, and we agree with that we think it's valid to have a volunteer there, so we gotta work on that a little, tighten that up a little bit more,
Well, the whole idea of having an attendant there is that the time when you're gonna get dumped is when nobody's watching. So
Right.
if we don't have somebody there, that's the time that the bad stuff's gonna show up and nobody will know what it is or who brought it because nobody was there.
Right.
So, but just to back up for a second to what you mentioned about people having a hard time turning stuff away. it isn't easy, but that's part of being the person that's there. I think we have clearly posted on the wall the stuff that we don't take. And to the extent that we can help the attendants explain some of that stuff, maybe it will be easier for them to turn it away. But when somebody comes with a gorgeous set of bunk beds, let's say, and wants to leave them there, it's hard to say no. But if you don't say no to that, then the next time somebody's got a beat up old falling apart bureau that wants to drop it off, how do you say no to that?
Mhm.
And then we're right back into the collecting
And I
stuff.
think it is on the list there that the worker, the volunteer has the final say whether something's allowed or not.
Right.
I don't know what happened to the infamous bunk beds. Did they get put in the dumpster or did they get
Got put in the dumpster.
Got it.
Yeah, I think the control that Clay's put in place is that there's no volunteers, it's closed. And I think that's what we agreed to originally.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. And we don't have any issue with that.
On the same line with staff and what help a lot of the volunteers, and my wife especially, on weekends when it is busy, she's been trying to get down so there's more than one person there.
Yeah.
Because when there's one person there and 7 people come in with boxes of stuff, it's tough to go through everything that gets dropped. And people take advantage of that and they say, all right, well, you know, here's my opportunity. The stuff gets dumped and off they go. So what she's been trying to do, and then some of the other ones, is try to double up on some of the weekend shifts when it is busy. You know, because they want to make this work, and that's the whole purpose of their system, you know, to really make it go.
Yeah.
So,
All the volunteers, oh,
I
sorry.
just want to say that I have all the sign-up sheets up through August 23rd. And there was only one shift in the whole time that nobody signed up for. So I think, and there's been other times when I know someone signed up but they had to leave early because something had come up. And I apologized. I said to him, I said, okay, that's fine, you can leave, and we probably won't close it for the last 45 minutes, because there is somebody else coming in, and that other person can sort the things or whatever, because I know one time, that one time nobody showed up, or nobody had signed up, they called Bill, and somebody called Bill and said, you know, I wasn't open, and they were upset, but it's like, that's the way it is.
There's always the dollar store.
To leave things off.
So, and we found that in talking to the volunteers that are working there, we found that people have been, for the most part, very easy to work with. They show up, they say, come look in my car, can you take this, can't you take this? I've got this, I don't know if it's, so people have been very accommodating, and there hasn't, to my knowledge, there hasn't been any altercations, no battles between customers or people
Philip, that's not the case.
trying. Oh, okay. So go ahead and enlighten me. Okay.
I have 3 instances where we, just being a citizen, have seen these volunteers not be police officers, but take unnecessary profanity, abuse. It's disorderly conduct. He and his staff intercede and got them away from it, and had their, in one instance, somebody pointed at him, F-bombs, just got the guy calmed down, got his plate number so it can be handled and whatnot.
Since we opened up
Yes.
volunteer.
I also, you and I were down by the metal pile. Remember the woman came down and complained about these people because they wouldn't take a metal lamp?
Oh, yeah, sure, well, yeah.
Yes, and she was incensed, and what did she do? Boom, you take care of it, and off she went. And you handled that very professionally. It wasn't a murder case, but the point is, these people didn't have to go through it. So I know of at least 3 instances where I think you and your staff, and he and his staff, have handled things just the way they should be handled. And that's a compliment to everybody. Thank you for letting me speak.
And on your, I mean, people wear vests or some sort of identification. Does it say volunteer on it?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's
Right on the
important.
back.
People will do any number of things to employees and elected officials, but volunteers, they usually are pretty reasonable.
We've seen it run, absolutely as it's supposed to, where, especially in the last 2 weeks, people come over with stuff left over that wasn't taken and said, I need to get rid of this. So obviously they've been directed to the right place and had no problems. The two areas where we've had issues with are lamps, nice lamps. That's very hard to get them to understand that we just can't do it. It's not that we don't want to, we just can't do it. And small to medium-sized furniture. Had a nice gun rack. A really nice gun rack with a thing, but it's like Bill said, is you take the gun rack, you know it's gonna go, and if somebody doesn't take it, the volunteer's gonna take it home that night, But it's standing right there, and the guy pulls up in his pickup with a bunch of junk.
And
you guys have the bulletin board? Yeah.
He didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Your staff and his staff could not be any more accommodating.
It's like I said, overall, I think it's worked absolutely great.
But there's the 5% out there that's
It's always 5%.
Yes.
I had someone bring in a lamp. I told them we couldn't take anything with a cord. I'll cut the cord off and leave the lamp.
Well, we used to do
Well, you can cut the plug off and leave.
we used to do
I didn't let them do that, but
Again, you've seen now over a month and a half how full that place gets.
oh yeah.
Okay, so you have to have a limit somehow, and the easiest limit is to say, no, we don't take those. We learned that lesson.
Yes, we would still, and thank you for your input. I wasn't aware of altercations. I hope it's generally still on a positive note.
Yes.
We still would like to get together and have our committee meeting in the fall and come back to you with a fall follow-up. We don't know what we want to do this winter yet. It seems to be, it's as Clay said, it gets very cold here in the winter.
And that wind cuts across the...
And the wind and whatnot, but there seems to be a lot of people that are asking already, now you're gonna stay open all year, right? You're gonna do this, so we're not really sure where to go with that. We'll probably wait and see what the traffic level comes to come winter. And Clay had mentioned in our, I don't know if it was a selectmen's meeting or a committee meeting.
I have a hearing disability. I only hear one person talk at a time.
Oh,
All right.
Marion.
Hey, Marianne.
You need to stop.
Thank you.
Where was I? Clay had mentioned that come fall, and I don't know if he mentioned it in a selectmen's meeting or at a Tuftonboro swap shop meeting, that come fall/winter, things get slower there and they might be able to take over the responsibility without the volunteers. The jury's out, I don't know. We'll convene on that come fall and see if we dare
We may want to
not staff
We
it.
may want to just limit the schedule.
And we've mentioned that too. We
The
might
weather's
cut
gonna
down
limit the
just
schedule.
weekends or something like that. I think general consensus now is that we feel it's important to keep it staffed. So we're not looking to step away from that. The volunteers so far are all, seem to be enjoying with the exception of maybe one, but seem to be enjoying the visit or the different responsibilities. So.
And the other thing is that when they do approach somebody that is having a difficult time understanding they can't do something, in every case that I've seen so far, they've referred them over to us, and it works great. The problem is if there's only one volunteer there on a busy weekend on a Saturday, and you don't want to yell at them, hey, I need help. It would be easier if there were two there, on those busy days where somebody can just stroll over and say, hey, we need you over
Yeah,
here.
that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yes, people are available. I lose my wife for the weekends mostly.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen sometimes, I see a guy driving down and I know I better start walking over to provide assistance.
So as a final, to put it to rest, maybe we need to address that sooner than later, is getting 2 people on the schedule, and I don't know if it's a certain shift from the 11 to 2 shift that needs double coverage.
It may just be Saturday or Sunday as well.
Yeah. No, weekends, right? Yeah, weekend morning, for the most part.
And actually Sunday.
But the other big positive I'd like to throw out is that the individuals now, the residents and the summer people, I think are pretty much trained to not bring in the truckload of old, destroyed, rigid plastic toys that you can't put anyplace else but construction debris. And they don't bring them in anymore. I mean, I've waited all summer and it's been kept. So I think the public is pretty much educated as to what's acceptable and what's not. So I think it's a good start.
Great. Anybody else?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
effort.
Philip.
Yeah.
I will say that I've had a lot of comments from people, positive comments about the swap shop from people who, along the lines of, well, you know, the swap shop isn't something that I use or would use, but I'm glad we have it. People like the idea that there's one more step before the trash heap for things that people are getting rid of, even if they don't personally, you know, just. I think it goes back to the old Yankee fruit. How do we?
Well, and I know in my
Keep something
mind,
useful.
it's reducing the waste stream. It's really the whole, my goal here.
And it's amazing,
We
you
throw
know,
so
paying
much
down,
away.
yeah, how much stuff actually leaves.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing how much stuff goes on.
Toss stuff.
Things that I would never take. But
Well, come look in my cellar.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you for working.
That I said at least chief, you already.
I'm sure you had to go somewhere, so we can't stay.
I gotta go somewhere too.
Oh, yeah.
God, motor vehicle stops are down, must be those radar signs. Lanes are flat.
I read in the court news today, Friday's paper, that Tuftonboro had a couple of indictments, including sexual assault and burglary, and I've never seen them on any statistical sheet.
Well, you got 16 felons, both of those qualify.
I see where it says.
And he doesn't
It says arrest.
break down felony arrests into categories. All right, we've got the final snowplow roadways prohibited ordinance version in hand. If anybody out there in TV land wants to come and look at it, we've got a public hearing on that coming up in September. We don't have any job performance reviews for
Do you need a copy?
Harris Shigori.
I have one, thank you.
Did you want to talk to Clay about anything in particular?
No, but the past comment you just made, I had asked Karen, she's gonna put it on the website so people can view that ordinance, and then at least they'll be prepared if they want to show up. I just let the camera see.
I could hold it up, but I'm.
No, that's all right.
Zoom it in, right? Speed reading.
So the next step is just a public hearing, right?
Well,
So it will be available on the website for people to view, download, print. And you can put some copies on the table in the lobby if people want to pick a copy up, right? And on September 9th, we'll have the hearing on it.
Lloyd had mentioned in passing that he found the paper recycling lady to be accurate about the operations of Ospey and wherever, Kenny.
Wolfboro.
Wolfboro.
I found all the information she gave us to be accurate.
So, is there something we should direct Clay to look further into? I ended that sentence with a preposition, and I apologize right up front.
I have sent you a couple of articles, recent articles that have come out. The latest of which is Aspen, Colorado, which is very green, obviously very much into recycling. They are doing, they are going to change and do away with single stream recycling. And they are going to selectively send out the commodities, and they're going to do the same as what we are doing, with the exception they're doing yard waste.
Right.
In addition to it. I don't know if you got that article and you read
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, we were approached
But,
at one point in time at the county by a waste to energy operation over in Maine. And
Pardon?
when I was at the county, we were approached by a waste to energy plant in Maine that was taking sorted paper to fire their boiler,
Oh, I don't know.
to make electricity.
I can ask about that.
Yeah,
The OCC cardboard, you know, and again, in that article and in a couple other articles that I sent, they echoed the 10 months to 12 months out before things start to turn around and come back. And again, those facts are correct. The addition to those facts are that when you start taking a single commodity like mixed paper, and the volume that creates dictates that a man would be present at that station virtually all the time. So the additions that I had to those numbers were also accurate.
Where Clay does a program budget. It's not just how much money do we make from paper, it's what does it cost for the gripples, what is it, everything like that. And we've been well served by his style of man.
yeah, but I mean,
We
ultimately,
stopped separating paper
Last
because you couldn't get rid of it, right?
Correct.
So.
We could, it was 4 months, and it cost us money to get rid of it.
Right, so, but what I'm hearing is now there's an outlet for getting rid of paper, but it has to be baled.
Right.
Is that correct?
And what both these towns do is, for $1,200, they pay for half a trailer, and Beautify New Hampshire pays the other half, and they pack it right in the trailer. So there's some additional costs that you have preached.
Right.
So her facts are accurate, but there's also some storage costs.
Well, so does it result in cost avoidance?
You know, I mean, we made the decision to stop because it exceeded that cost. And, you know, to every calculation that I've done, it's, once it gets down back below that cost, we'll start being on mixed paper again.
but it's not,
plants-
we have to keep in mind that the transfer station isn't a profit center. I mean, we're not
Right.
looking, it's not a business. Bringing business principles into it is wonderful, and it's worked to our advantage, but I think that there's probably some bridge area where mixed paper, let's say, isn't quite cost effective to get rid of it in a baled situation, but it's moving in that direction. And
Right.
So I think we need this.
The balance was,
That's what you've represented.
the balance was in that article that you read, they are California, Aspen, Colorado, are taking bales of paper and burying them in the landfill. Okay?
So how is
Now,
that?
so the
How is
decision,
that-
when we made the decision to stop doing mixed paper,
Yeah,
it was in concert with plastics. It is much better to take the mixed paper, which deteriorates over time, than it is to take the plastics, which don't,
right.
and end up putting the plastics in the landfill and burying the mixed paper. So, it's the worst of two evils. The one I think which is most important is the plastics, and we're still recycling plastics, and we're still recycling the glass.
If, I guess my position would be is if you're spending the effort, time and money to bail, and it's just going to the landfill, that's a stupid thing to do.
Exactly, that's why we stopped.
So, but if there's some place to take it other than the landfill, even if that costs a little bit to get it done, we need to explore that, because
Okay.
it's reducing the waste stream into the landfill. All right, I'm gonna move on to the signature file. The first is a volunteer for the swap shop, April Clay. Do I have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This only requires one signature.
Go forth.
Yeah.
And the next one is Barbara Jones, also a volunteer for the
I'll
swap
move,
shop.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have a question for you.
And we've got a, Barbara Madoff of Tuftonboro would like to become a member of the capital improvements program.
So moved.
Second.
Her term will end June 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
While we're on the subject, can I talk about something?
Sure.
Another individual has come forward and at the same time wanted to be on the CIP committee. And I spoke to the chairman, Joe, and I said, if the committee saw fit, would they interview the person and suggest they be an alternate? Because we have some members, that leave early in the winter and whatnot, and it's a committee where we need to kind of educate people. And she said, yes, she would be willing to consider that. Would the board be willing to consider having an alternate there?
Is it up to the chair of the committee? That we make that decision?
Yeah, I think it's, if they want to submit an alternate. Now, Jill talked to me about it the other day, and I guess I understood differently from her about having an alternate as to whether it's a good thing to have for the committee or not. I came away from my conversation with her with the idea that we didn't need to have alternates on the CIP committee.
I would agree with that.
I guess I'd say if we have people that are interested in getting involved, we have committees that we do need to have alternates on, statutory committees where you need to have a quorum in order to take the required actions, and so maybe it would be fine with those individuals to say, hey, we're looking for alternate members on the planning board or conservation commission or whatever it is, and move folks in that direction.
Okay, I'll share all of your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the contract for propane with Eastern Propane and Oil for 2019-20. It's a 12-month contract at $1.99 per gallon, I guess. Doesn't say.
Yeah.
We've all signed it individually, but we need to vote on it.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that we approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. While we're talking about the fuels,
Sure.
goes back a week and a half, I guess, to when we had the pricing come in, and I sat down and reviewed what was on the bid for LRPC and what our existing vendors came forward with, and our existing oil vendor had the same level of pricing as the vendor for the LRPC contract. So didn't make any sense to me that we would change. We're happy with the service we get with the guy. We're Pemmy River Fuels, and
Do you have any idea
So-
what the savings is a gallon, ballpark figure?
from what?
The reduced price that you give us?
Um,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I have it on my spreadsheet in the
Yeah,
correspondence.
no, not off the top of my head.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, the bid on the propane was a little lower than the contract that we just reapproved. And when we ran the numbers, if we purchased the same volume that we did this past year, then it would result in about $400 in total savings. But last time we changed propane, we spent over $500 in upgrades to the propane lines and that sort of thing that needed to pass muster with the new supplier. And the provision of the bid that came in through LRBC had a penalty associated with it for what they call underlift, which meant if you didn't buy 95% of what was in the bid, you paid them the difference between the bid price and the current market price on the stuff you didn't buy. And when I look back over our usage over the last several years, we used a lot more propane last year than we did the year before.
That was a long winter.
Well, right. So the likelihood that we're going to have the same situation again this winter in usage, it doesn't seem, it's not a slam dunk. And it looked to me like we could end up in a situation where we're paying a penalty for this guy because we weren't buying all the propane that was in the bid. So that's why we chose to stay with Eastern.
Well, thank you for your time.
Okay, the next item is the Pemmy River fuel bid for on-road diesel, which is going to be at 25% above 25 cents above cost for trucks that we have in service that need diesel. I'll make a motion that we approve this.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye. I think that's single signature also, right?
It is. This next one is the Pemmy River fuels for heating oil, and it's a fixed price of $2.105 per gallon for the heating season September 19 to August 20. I'll make a motion that we sign this.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is a intent to excavate. Did this go through the planning board?
Yes, it did, and he now has a
Oh,
permit.
okay, we've got the
So-
permit right there.
He, what happened is, he satisfied the last condition of getting approval of the last planning board meeting. So he was eligible then to get his excavating permit. Huh? That's,
Benton Martin.
yeah.
Right.
And so that's why we now have the intent ready to go. So I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
just,
making signal decisions here.
Yep.
The next item is an intent to cut on map 67, lot 1 and 2, Sandy Knoll Road.
I'll move approval.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And okay, the next is an intent to cut on map 19, 45501. Is that now 16-2-9 Sodom Road. This is a replacement intent because I guess they didn't get the cut done last year.
I'll move approval.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And a lot of timber cutting going on here. The next is an intent to cut on County Road, map 14-2-34 and 15-3-38.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the next item for signature is a yield tax for $115 on map and lot 33-2 and 33-7.
Move approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This is better. I took some stuff off.
How many board feet?
94,000 in pine, 68,000 in hemlock.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, the next is a yield tax levy for $2,333 on map 6832.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
They don't have last names, these people?
Unfortunately, I wasn't provided those. Steve Wingate had written an
Okay, I'm gonna
email.
do the next four all as a group.
Okay.
These are thank you letters to the AmeriCorps volunteers, the Health Conservation Commission, on the trail. I'll read it to you. The Selectmen wish to thank you for assisting Steve Wingate of the Tuftonburg Conservation Commission, Leah Hark of Lakes Region Conservation Trust, and Rick Van Poel in locating, brushing out, painting blazes, and signing the boundaries of the Sargent and Phelps lots. Your assistance is greatly appreciated and was especially important to the town as the work that you did was a grant funding requirement for these purchases.
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No. Last but not least. breaking in.
Yeah,
While Clay is here, could I just ask him a question?
I don't know, is he still under oath?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you give me a list of your tentative CIP projects, because I have a meeting coming up in the next 2 days?
Okay.
Just so I can represent to them what to expect. I know you've been super busy, thank you.
Are you thinking about a new compactor? Aren't they getting kind of old?
No, it's, we have to replace one
Yeah.
and two. Yeah, it would be a new compactor.
So is that gonna be next year we're gonna do that, or?
That's the plan. And then 3 or 4 years after that, we'll do number 2.
Thank you.
All right, Selectmen's update. Anything to say for yourselves?
sure. I'll try and be brief. This weekend was Old Home Days, and the weather was great, and we had a number of events on the calendar. I didn't go to all of them, I did go to some, and they seemed well attended, and so I would say that overall, we had a successful Old Home Days
Great time.
event this year. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Karen has been working diligently to put some structure to our computer situation, or add additional detail to it, and has come across some things that need attention, including some software that we have improperly licensed. We need to, we've bought home licenses rather than business licenses, so we need to get that changed over. She is going to be sending memos to each department head specifying computers and software that they should budget in their budget for this coming year to keep us current. Again, we ran into a late situation in 2019 with some computers that were going to become unsupported during this year. And this is an effort that's designed to,
So Tom Allen is still doing our.
Tom is still doing it, right?
Need a recommendation from him as well on these.
And we're working with his
That's
recommendations.
how I saw it.
That's where all the information is coming from. So basically, if the computer is 5 years old, it needs to be replaced. And the operating system and the Office Suite software, we're aiming at making sure that they're all current to something that's supported, that Microsoft is continuing to do updates on. So this is a long way around to saying Karen and I are going to sit down and go over for about the umpteenth time after the meeting today to finalize what we're going to be sending out to the departments. And,
Okay.
so with the concurrence of this board, if I get it from you, then she'll be in a position this week to get memos out to department heads saying, these computers need to be replaced next year, and here's how much you should budget for. And, so we don't have that stuff slip through the cracks.
2 things that I remember is, starting this year, we are responsible for the the town clerk's computer that does the automotive registrations, right? And that's what she may do last year. I like your idea of a global approach. The other thing is, there were some computers that we budgeted to go in the cruisers. I don't know if it's even connected with anything that you and Karen are doing, but I kind of like the global approach if we can get things is done. I'm particularly concerned about the computers in the cruiser because we have dead spots and we need our officers safe.
Yeah,
And
they're on our list. Yeah.
what?
They are on our list, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have for today.
Yeah, we may want to, and I don't know if I brought this up before last year or the year before, we may want to look at creating an IT section in our budget and just getting it, I mean, because part of the problem we ran into in December was one department all of a sudden became aware of the fact that their computers weren't going to work. And we need to tighten that up a bit and also get a handle on what is this computerized government costing to stay computerized.
And in the last month's issue of the Town and Country magazine, I cut out something along this lines, how do we make our computer systems safe and whatnot.
I didn't see in Horse and Hound, I didn't see that.
You all set?
Yeah, I am.
I reiterate your thanks to Old Home Days. If I started listing names, I'd leave somebody out, so this is what little towns like Tuftonboro are known for. I got the word today that ITAC meeting is September 4th, Lakes Region Planning. I've received word from Jack that that the generator is working and in at the transfer station, right? Which is good. And who did the work? Local guy?
Scott
Thompson?
Yeah,
I've heard good things.
did a great job. He's coming back Thursday to add to the panel because we're 3-phase and the generator excuse me, only works on 2 of the phases. To give us a little 3-light indicator on the panel itself, so when you come in the morning, turn the overheads on, you can see there's a green light each phase. Because if we lose one phase of power, we may not know it, depending upon what you turn
And you
on.
can't use those 3-phase machines.
And then you start using the machines and trash one of our machines out.
Along that same line, we started with the generator that's compatible with the other ones at the transfer at the town shed, so we can get gas during emergencies. I asked the Conservation Commission met August 19th, and you have a copy of the minutes. They are a busy organization. I have a lot on their plate. To Steve Wingate and Linda being the secretary. The first thing is the Tuftonboro Association donated $6,000 for the parking lot up on Sodom Road, and Jeff Luby did it at $1,200 on the budget, so that's great. The next thing is Canaan Road. 45 Canaan Road, 46-2-15, we received a letter, or they received a letter from Mr. Evans. There's 12 acres that has become available there, and he will donate up to $50,000 if the town was interested in purchasing it. So, yeah, that's just to notify you. Cops Pond viewing platform. Steve Wingate and 2 volunteers will be repairing that with pressure-treated wood. And there's 2 citizens that will go get the materials for him and wipe the materials off to the transfer station. The last thing is that Mike Carlton on map 32-2-5 sent a letter to the Conservation Commission that he is interested in selling the back portion of a lot which includes a groundwater easement and is part of the Great Meadow. This is about 12 plus or minus acres, and it abuts his pit operation. And these are all things I want you aware of. Thank you.
Good. We had a couple of instances over the weekend. a suicide, the police handled that. Might be hitting our welfare budget if we get time for the cleanup. And I did have,
You handle our welfare
I do.
cases, so do you mind
no,
continuing with that part of the budget? You've done the owner's work.
I did try to handle a complaint from North Country Village regarding a building permit question. I haven't seen Jack yet this morning, and I thought I was gonna see the police chief here today, but he showed up and then left, so I guess there's something happening out there, but I'll follow up on that today. And that's about it. I just saw someone walk in. Did you have, I've gone by public comment, but you're here. Did you want to say something to the selectmen?
Yes, we have a law or a rule in our
Excuse me, could you just give your name to the
Barbara
secretary?
Jones. I'm sorry, Barbara Jones.
Thank you, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all right. We have a law that you have to have a permit before you start to build. Now, when I came there 4 years ago, there was no doubt. He told me emphatically, you do not start anything until you have that permit in your window. This gentleman, I'll call him a gentleman, I went over and I said hello, and I didn't tell him who I was at the moment, but I said, do you have a permit? None of your business. I said, okay, what's your company's name? None of your business. I don't have to tell you a thing. I said, I'm the president of the community at the moment, and you have to have a permit. Because if Jack comes over here afterwards and looks at this, and it isn't done right, it's gonna have to be done over. And that's not fair to the person paying you. Well, I've been in this business 35 years, I know what I'm doing. Fine. I said, I'd like to have you stop until you get your permit. According to him, Jack said, it's okay, you can go on. So I called the police because I wanted it stopped until he got the permit in the window. And Jack evidently proceeded, I don't know, but evidently proceeded to call the police and say, don't worry, it's nothing. That guy almost hit me. Had I still been awake, he would have been a eunuch. Because there's no need of that, there's no professionalism in that. I asked him to see his insurance, I don't have it on me. I said, you should be carrying that in your car at all times if you're going on a job. The insurance should be posted. I got nothing but crap from him. Then my maintenance man came down and he stopped. But he would not stop for me. Because I'm a woman? I don't think so. I think it's a good old boys thing here. That I'm gonna scratch your back, you're gonna scratch mine. Jack came down and said, it's okay, the permit will be here Monday. How long does it take to print a permit? And he told him he could go on with the building without the permit. I don't see the validity in the office if you tell one person they have to have it in their window before they start, and you tell another one it's okay, go ahead.
All right, well, I'm gonna talk to Jack and the police chief both. We don't have any oversight control or whatever to local businesses. We're just selectmen. So if I happen to see the contractor, I'll make a mention that he needs to join the 21st century.
I still don't know who he is
And
and don't care.
our code enforcement officer is the final arbiter of permitting. I don't know how long it takes to permit either, but we're a small town. It's not a big city. If he knows there's a building project going on, he's gonna inspect it. If he says it's permitted, it's permitted. Having the permit in the window may be an infraction, but I don't think it's a killing offense. But we'll get to the bottom of it and
Excuse me,
clean it up.
I came from a very small town called Norwich Walk, Maine.
Uh-huh.
You didn't break the law. The town manager would have been on your back. And if this man is in this position and he's supposed to do this, and I do want to know how long it takes to print a permit.
Well, I'll find out.
That seems to me, this was done on Friday and he said he'd get it Monday. The job was done on Friday.
A lot of elements to it, and I don't have as much information as I need to make it.
I think you should get both sides.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
The next item of business is correspondence. The last possible day to hold a public hearing for our budget is February 14th, just in case you need to know that.
Is there some concern about when the public hearing's going to be? Are you aware?
No, we just had asked a question so that we could get our schedule together.
Okay.
So we didn't fall into a situation where the budget hadn't been approved in time for the town meeting.
Is it also, is a small window there from the warrant articles that we see?
I think the question is, and I know we've had some conversation with the Budget Committee Chairman. He had it down to the 11th, and we're suggesting it be moved forward a week, or the 4th, to provide a little wiggle room in case things run up against an issue. So I would like to see this 4th,
Okay.
if we could do that.
With a snow date the next day.
There's a,
Okay, so the 4th is agreed upon with snow.
well, that's what we're gonna recommend to the
Okay.
budget committee, but they're gonna make their own decision.
When are warrant articles from the public by petition?
That's the last day, the 4th.
The 4th?
Yeah.
That's my understanding,
I
yep.
have no problem having it the 5th or the 6th, just to give the audience a chance to process them. If at 4 o'clock is the deadline for public warrant articles,
Mhm.
and it has to be ready for, the 6 o'clock or 6:30 meeting. I'm just thinking of the staff that has to go at light speed. But it's whatever the committee wants to
Would
decide.
that present a problem to you, that deadline, and have the budget hearing that same night?
I guess just the thing is that official documents might not have, you know how I do up the example warrant, it wouldn't have that petition one on there, you know what I mean, I might just bring it with me on a separate piece of paper. I guess that's the only thing I can think of offhand. What time do they have until that night though? Is it even later perhaps,
What's that,
for the petition warrant article?
4 o'clock? 4 o'clock on
Because I almost thought I got one late one.
I was thinking of the last year, the year before last, when someone came in 5 minutes before 4. And it was of utmost importance that the budget committee know that. And we found out later that the warrant article wasn't written up correctly and couldn't be considered, couldn't be voted on because it wasn't legal, written properly.
Oh, not enough, probably not enough registered voters is my guess. Oh, that's a good point, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. That's probably the point that would be important is Heather has to confirm that all those people are registered voters, and we wouldn't know that quick
Right.
enough. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, the next item on the,
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but so with that said,
to the next day.
it gives her the Wednesday to confirm that. Wednesday is February 5th. And the next regular scheduled budget committee meeting will be the 11th, which I think probably brings us back to the week we did. No, I guess, what was our date on the public hearing, week the 14th? I can't remember right now.
initially it was set to the 14th. So maybe we need some input from the town clerk.
Yeah, so I think we would know, so I'd say the 5th or the 11th, if you want to stay consistent with Tuesdays for the budget committee.
Right.
the 11th would be the Tuesday.
Okay, then the rest, some of this we already discussed, the fuel issues for contracts. The next is a letter from the Tuftonboro Island Association taking umbrage with our decision to move the trash pickup day for them a weekday. And I kind of see this fall on the same track as the swap shop. We made a decision to control the nonsense that happened over the weekend.
Not everyone's happy.
And not everybody's happy. Well, if they want to fix it, then they need to come up with a plan and a way of addressing it. We're going to leave it on a weekday until we're approached.
It's been 3 years now that container has been full.
And we all pay a lot of taxes in Tuftonboro. Less than anybody else in the state, but a lot of them does. There was a request by an Eagle Scout to put a second bench on the path. Do we need to vote on that?
You already did. I think, are you on
Did we?
the folder?
All right.
It says it,
And
yeah.
we voted
You already
that,
voted on
we
that.
asked him to make it pressure treated, so we don't have what happened at
I
Cost
don't know, yeah. that's
I
not a
thought
good
Chip
idea.
said no on that.
Yeah, you can't have kids sitting on pressure treated. It's not good for them.
So I didn't say anything at all. I just said.
alternate for them.
Yeah, there's Cedar and there's other Eagle Scouts coming along that can replace the bench when it gets bad.
I like that.
Yeah. Does anybody want to go to the bridge opening on Route 16? Reed and Reed is having an official bridge opening for the Bear Camp River Bridge on Wednesday, August 28th.
I'm out of town.
All right. Just checking. All right, do we want to continue with our PSNH class action? The bill for 2020 is going to be $6,000. This is a discussion about the utility tax.
Yep.
Yes.
Is that a motion?
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Is that to be paid this year or next year?
Well, the letter says 2020, so it's next
Yeah,
year.
it'll be next
I guess Diane explained it to me that
Don't close that.
you could make a decision if you wanted to pay it this year, if you have leftover funds, or they can wait and you can budget it for 2020 and they'll bill in January.
Well, I think we
So it's up to-
budget it in 2020.
Budget in
and
2020,
if-
okay.
And if there are funds to pay some at the end of the year, we can,
Okay.
do that.
Is there a letter in there about the SB?
No. School taxes?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would be about the, I have it here.
Yeah, it has to be used this year.
What is that called? SB 103?
I want to say 38, but I
well,
don't.
this is the supplemental.
Yeah.
There was a note in there on the supplemental.
As I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
Is it in here?
I think it is.
It should be.
Or maybe it's in the
It should be in the green one.
Green one?
Not in the highway trust fund.
that's the supplemental
Can you
we
find it?
got, back here, but
Did some work on
all right. Well, the bottom line is apparently we have to use it or encumber it this year. It's,
29,609 left.
So So we've got $29,000 left. Is that what you said? Okay.
In that, that line item, yeah.
What I did is, I went through the last 2 years and came up with sample bids for a number of small projects, and I'd be willing to go over them with you. My suggestion is that we put them out to bid. And for example, fixing the entrance to the Piper House. If it comes in at, $900, we use this money and use it up, not tack it on to next year. When do I speak to you? Do I just give you copies of my paperwork and let you read it at your leisure? Or do I run through them, take 3 minutes? And
Yeah, it hasn't been we need to make it a scheduled event. So why don't you
Put it on the agenda
Yeah,
for-
give us copies and then we'll put it on the agenda for
The next meeting, yeah.
next meeting.
Well, I have a problem, Mr. Chairman. We
Okay,
have one more meeting.
and then the money's gone?
No, we have one more public meeting scheduled. We only have 2 for September, and we're getting backed up here.
Well, we can do it on a Friday too.
I was gonna suggest that. What I'll do is I'll give you
I mean, I'm
copies.
not gonna make a decision without
Yeah.
taking a little time.
Yeah.
The other thing along with that is, if you turn to page 6 and 7 of the paperwork we got, the current year expenditures dated to 22 August, our current highway budget has been spent at 74.1%. We're only at the 56% of the calendar year. Our winter budget has only 10% left. Is it appropriate to make some decisions now, in the next week or 2, so we do not go over the bottom line again this year? I don't expect a decision to be made now, but I'll give you all copies of this, okay?
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. The,
Excuse me again, I'm sorry, for correspondence, I know you need. There's a woman that put the thing in there about making more recycling brochures, and she wanted to ask your permission about that. Using some of the budget funds for that.
for paper recycling?
Pardon?
For paper recycling?
No, just recycling in general. There's brochures we had a couple of years ago that the recycling committee created. And this woman, Susan, that came in to meet with you, wanted to use the recycling awareness budget funds to publish some more.
We have $100 in a recycling awareness budget line.
Right.
It could be
Okay,
used.
well, I don't think we've shared this email with Clay, have we?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Did we?
I copy him on all the transfer station stuff.
So we need to have Clay come up with an answer with regard to a brochure or recycling awareness. That's what,
Yeah, we have $100 if we don't go on that.
yeah, well, let's say we could come up with a little more money. Or
Okay.
do we want to budget a little more in 2020? So is it an important thing to do? I mean, I don't know how many new people are living in Tuckamore these days, but probably a few. We've got one right here that just moved here 4 years ago. So. The rest of us got the brochure back in the 60s or whenever it was printed. So, I mean, that would be my suggestion is to have Clay put together an ask.
Right.
Okay. Are you done interrupting me?
One last thing.
So you should have it.
Are you gonna, there's the Common Man New Hampshire alcohol drug treatment thing on Wednesday?
The alcohol, right?
Yeah, are you gonna go to that?
We're not going to that.
No.
No.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't, we have other things we're committed to. One thing of note in our other correspondence is that Congressman Christopher Pappas is going to have an open office hours at the Tuckamore Town Hall on October 16th from 1 o'clock to 2:15. So if you'd like to come and see your congressman, that's the time to do it. don't know that we've ever had a congressman.
It's not clear to me that he's gonna be here, maybe because he's gonna have a staff person here that day, I don't know.
I read it as a staff person.
A staff person is gonna be here.
Oh, well, then we will continue our long tradition of never having a representative show up in Customer. Yeah, the rest of it, I think we've all looked at. There's a household hazardous waste. Wrapping up on Tuesday, August 28th. Their final coordinated meeting of the season will be in Meredith. Are you going to that?
Very long zone.
Okay. And the Tuftonboro time schedule is out for the balance of the year and for next year. We just got the short straw for October. Article deadline October 4th. When's the last time you did it? All right.
Need some
I'm
help.
calling for volunteers, and I'm glad you volunteered.
Absolutely. You take it. When is it going?
October 4th, you got plenty of time. Or you can do what I do, is write it now, and then everything changes and you have to redo it a day before it's due.
I like yours, you guys keep them.
The Hampshire Division of Public Health Services has sent us back our report on the Melbourne Town Pier and Beach for E. coli, et cetera. It seems we're clean and people can go swimming. Any other business? Do we have CIP proposals for 2020 yet? I know we have some.
Right, I've been given to me as I receive them, right?
Okay. So those will continue to come in the budget, or CIP is the meeting the 6th of September, is that?
No, it's 28.
Yeah,
I
Wednesday.
thought the budget was
I think CIP is the 28th, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
That one's budget.
We had it in July, we don't meet again until October.
20. Yeah, I mean, that's it. All right, any other, oh, God.
Yeah,
The
you
fifth
have that on record,
The fifth
Jeff.
estate.
I intended to be here at 9.
Well,
Our power
you were
went
late,
off
so-
for an hour,
Really?
and so I'm watching the clock. And it's an hour off, so I think I'm tooling in at the right time. Sorry. So the 29,690, what is that called? That's highway,
It's a supplemental highway grant.
supplemental highway grant.
I have a copy of it right here for
Well, I remember that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
60, I think, at one point.
you.
So you just have to spend 30 more thousand.
Yeah.
And that possibly can go into Being's budget, or?
I have a copy now. It can be used
I think it has to be for specific highway.
Not just
Oh, that
general
we're not,
maintenance.
that we're not previously planned for. Tricky.
It is true, or we can take 10 grand a piece and. Call
It is
a
intended to be used for highway purposes that do not already have local budgeted and approved funding. The funding is not to be used to supplant the current funds. SB 38 funding can be used to do additional paving beyond the approved funding. For example, we have a couple of entranceways that
Okay.
need to be rebuilt. Drainage, pavement markings, traffic signals, guardrails, bridges. Funding can be used for equipment necessary that is totally dedicated to maintenance of local highways. It cannot be used for municipal needs other than highways.
So do you think you'll be able to come up with some things for this year?
Yes. What I've done is
Should be easy, right?
I've gone through the last 2 years on a number of projects, rebuild Sergeant's Way, Zadida Farms. There's several brush out projects that need to be done.
Yeah, we've also got the culvert study that we did.
Yeah,
Those aren't all earmarked for this year, so we
so
can.
that's a possibility.
Right.
Okay.
Welcome. Anything else from the public? Then I'm gonna move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. see? Look at